I see now. How do I advance it?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining our iCare webinar. If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat. Happy Friday. We're going to go ahead and get started. I know we're starting a few minutes later. Today, we're going to be talking about our digital health hubs. This is a program that started back in September, where we started our digital health hubs at 5 locations. They started at the American Legion Post, Post 197, and Post 244, which are in Jacksonville, Florida, and American Legion Post 194, which is in St. Augustine, Florida. And we also had one at the Orange Park Pharmacy. So in this program, 10 participants were chosen to learn more about digital literacy, and that program was completed in December. It was a 6-week program that it was definitely very fulfilling for both the participants and for the workers in the program. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the new program that we're starting, or that has started this year. It's the Train the Trainer program, and Dr. Bonner is going to be discussing that. So thank you again, everyone, for joining.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. I am Tamithia Bonner. I am a research associate out of the Cancer Health Equity Research Program. And today I will be discussing advancing health equity through the Mayo Clinic Community Technology and Digital CoTech Health Hubs in Florida. Now, the objectives for today's discussion include, we'll be talking about the goals, objectives, and purpose of the Train the Trainer program, key learning objectives, local trainer outcomes, measures. I'll give a snapshot of what the 2-day schedule looks like, clinical trials and community research registry, and then the last thing would be our group teach back and feedback sessions. So the goal of CoTech was to eliminate digital health literacy gaps in the Mayo Clinic catchment areas by expanding and sustaining the community technology and digital or CoTech hubs. Now, we also wanted to establish this CoTech Master Trainer, Local Trainer program and train 10 CoTech trainers to lead the community living technology literacy programs in 5 of the catchment areas, with each training 10 community members. So each trainer will train an additional 10. Now, the purpose and the short-term goals of CoTech were to create and employ a systematic approach to the design and the development of an evidence-based digital literacy train-the-trainer program for non-specialist healthcare workers as well as the community. We also wanted to describe this digital literacy trainer approach and compare training and consultation effectiveness of our local trainers. Now, some of the key learning objectives of our training includes understanding digital literacy as a foundational skill for assessing information, communication, and services. Now, digital literacy is critical in today's world because it empowers individuals to confidently navigate and participate effectively in technology, in a technology-driven society. It encompasses the ability to find, evaluate, utilize, and create information using digital technology, as well as to understand social and ethical implications of its use. Now, becoming proficient in teaching digital tools and platforms, that includes things like basic hardware, internet use, online safety, software applications. Becoming proficient in teaching digital tools is also critical for modern educators due to its wide-ranging impact on students, teaching methodologies, as well as overall educational quality. Now, developing strategies for overcoming barriers to digital access in underserved, or under-resourced communities. By developing strategies to digital access in these under-resourced communities was something that we felt was very important, as it can be, have a significant impact on education. It can have a significant impact on economic opportunities, as well as your overall well-being. So by addressing the affordability, access, and digital literacy, communities can fully participate in the digital economy and have access to vital resources that they need. Now, I want to kind of give a quick distinction for everyone. The training had what we consider master trainers as well as local trainers. So master trainers were members of the project team as well as those from community outreach and engagement. Local trainers were community members that have agreed to participate in this training and take the curriculum back to their respective communities and organizations. Now, here are some expectations that the project team had of the local trainers. So, act as role models for trainees to, apply digital literacy in real world situations, create an engaging, supportive, and non-judgmental environment for the trainees, continuously update their knowledge on digital tools and best practices, as well as be a resource for the community in digital literacy and support its ongoing development. I don't know how well everyone can see this picture, but you can see the local trainers hard at work. There were 15 participants in this training, ranging from, of course, COE, or Community Outreach and Engagement. We had community pharmacy, healthcare organizations, American Legion Post, as well as senior citizen organizations. In the midst of making sure that the local trainers were able to really get, a substantial training that would, they could take back and impact their communities, the project team also wanted to make sure that we were able to capture data from the participants that would give us an idea of, how proficient they were in using their mobile devices, how confident they were using digital, devices or accessing information online, and how health literacy translated to digital health literacy. It was a packed 2 days of training. And of course, we had a lot of great discussions during that time. Being the being that this was the first trainer program for everyone in attendance, the expectation, I think, was that the environment would be way more rigid or more sterile than it actually was. We actually had a lot of conversations and discussions that were on topic, but we also had some that veered off the topic. And that actually allowed the participants to relax, share stories that were really pertinent to them and why they were actually participating in this training. And the participants appeared to, have gotten a lot out of this training. And this is just a quick snapshot of day 2. It was basically comprised of our teach back sessions, our feedback sessions, but we also had an opportunity to discuss clinical trials. Before we actually got into the curriculum and teach back sessions, we had a discussion about clinical trials. And the question that was posed to the group really was, out of everyone in attendance, who had been a part or is actually a part of a clinical trial. Because out of Mayo Clinic and out of our lab, there are several clinical trials, and I just wanted to touch on how that related to why we were all at this particular training. I had a chance to discuss how clinical trials are research studies that test new medical approaches in people to find better ways to prevent, detect, and treat diseases. They're crucial for advancing medical care and improving health outcomes in evaluating the safety, effectiveness of new treatments or interventions, and that includes drugs, that includes devices, as well as behavioral strategies. Now, clinical trials are designed to answer specific research questions about new medical interventions. They help determine if a new treatment is safe, if it's effective. And I also had an opportunity to run down, what the 4 phases of clinical trials typically looks like. So phase 1 would be a focus on safety and dosage. Phase 2 would test effectiveness and side effects. Phase 3 would confirm effectiveness, monitor side effects, and compare new treatments to those that are currently in existence. And then phase 4 would be, after, the treatment is approved, and it involves monitoring those long-term effects and safety for the general wider population. Now, clinical trials involve volunteers who may be healthy individuals, or they could be individuals who have a specific condition or disease that is of interest. Our lab focuses on behavioral clinical trials. Behavioral clinical trials are research studies that investigate the effects of interventions designed to modify health-related behaviors. These focus on understanding how changes in your behavior, like your diet, physical activity, cognitive therapies, can impact health outcomes. So essentially, they really are a type of clinical trial that explores ways to improve health by changing actually what people do. Now, why is technology important in leveraging clinical trials? So leveraging technology in clinical trials awareness is crucial for a couple of reasons, primarily aimed at improving patient participation or participant participation, as well as overall efficiency and success of the clinical research. So technology, it allows for increased accessibility and diverse recruitment. So technology can bring clinical trials opportunities to a broader range of populations, including those who are in rural areas or have limited travel capabilities. Digital tools allow for more targeted outreach to specific patient populations who meet eligibility criteria, including those from under-resourced areas, promoting a wide array of people being offered participation now in clinical trials. And then online patient portals and mobile applications, those provide direct access to information about your clinical trials, making it easier for individuals to learn about and potentially participate in research. Now, enhanced patient engagement and retention. Technology fosters, better communication between participants and researchers, offering reminders, updates, the ability to report adverse events way more efficiently and effectively. Patient-friendly mobile platforms and engaging content such as your videos or interactive tools can increase participants' interest and understanding of your study. And then remote monitoring tools like your wearables, they reduce the need for frequent site visits, improving patient confidence and potentially increasing retention rate in the clinical trial. And now let's talk about improved efficiency and reduce costs. So digital platforms can streamline your patient recruitment, your screening and enrollment processes, potentially reducing the time and resources that are needed. Technologies like AI and machine learning can help identify suitable candidates much faster, enhancing the efficiency of the recruitment process. And then you have clinical trials models, that can be enabled by technology that can reduce operational costs associated with your traditional clinical trial. And then better data collection and analysis. So technology facilitates this real-time data collection through various means, such as your wearables, your mobile apps, providing a more comprehensive and accurate picture of participant health. And then again, AI and machine learning algorithms can analyze huge amounts of data, improving data accuracy and potentially leading to faster insights. Now, digital platforms can significantly enhance clinical trials awareness and participation through, these strategies. These include targeted online advertising, social media campaigns, utilizing specific disease-specific online communities and patient advocacy groups. Now, leveraging these platforms, researchers have an opportunity to reach a wide and more diverse audience, making it easier for potential participants to find as well as learn about what they consider relevant trials. Educational workshops are needed to promote awareness of these clinical trials and increase participation. They can be designed for various audiences, including, general public, patients, healthcare providers, with the goal of increasing understanding and reducing barriers to participation. And collaborations amongst your stakeholders can significantly enhance awareness of clinical trials by leveraging the wide range of expertise, build trust in your communities, and expand reach to more diverse populations. These partnerships facilitate the development of, more robust study designs, increasing generalizability of your findings, and ensure treatments are safe and effective across a wide array of demographics. Now, while speaking about the importance of clinical trials, I segued right into our community research registry. Now, the Community Research Registry is a database of diverse people who have consented to be contacted for biomedical research opportunities, including clinical trials as well as biospecimen research. The goal of the registry is to reduce this disproportionate effect of disease in under-resourced communities. And the registry aims to diversify clinical trial participation by notifying, being actively reaching out to members of relevant studies. And now why? Clinical trials are the gold standard study to create evidence for or against a particular treatment or intervention. But what exactly is the problem and how did it relate to the people in the room? Clinical trials, historically are notorious for not, having wide representation that's statistically relevant to different populations. So there's a certain percentage of a particular population in Mayo's catchment area, let's say, then the representation of that same population in a clinical trial, that should be the aim, to get as close as you can to that percentage. This mimics the population representation. And another thing it does, it allows for more generalizability of our trial results. Now, here is kind of a snapshot of the digital learn curriculum that each trainer would eventually take a cohort through, take back to their communities, take back to their organizations, and take a cohort through. So we have, navigating a website, going into connecting with others. So understanding telehealth and video conferencing, which is very important now for, our, clinical encounters. Being safe online, so knowing how to protect your passwords and being cognizant of fraud and scams. Job skills, learning how to do a resume, online job searching and applying for jobs online, being productive, so understanding your application, so Word, cloud storage, how to use Excel to do things like create a budget, online health information seeking, and onto your different mobile devices. So we even, delve into, your Android versus your iOS devices. Now, the Teach Back session. Now, each local trainer was to deliver a piece of the digital learn curriculum. So they were assigned one topic and they had 20 minutes to review and instruct. So I understood that this process was going to be nerve-wracking for our participants, because a lot of times this is the first time ever, have an opportunity to teach anything to, more than, one person. But, a lot of people hate to be new at something, but we're all new at something. So this session was for all of us to deliver information to our various audiences. I stressed that no one had to mimic another person's teaching style, just because it may seem to go over well. Great delivery is authentic delivery, but, also prepared delivery. So like I said, everyone was given 20 minutes to prepare. and master and fellow local trainers would play the role as learners and simulate this real, teaching learning environment. That was really important. And then we went right into our feedback sessions. I think people were expecting the feedback sessions to be very brutal, but I think everyone was very constructive and, very cognizant of the fact that this was everybody's first time doing this. So the group discussions were really centered on giving that constructive feedback. And, I gave some guidelines on, what is considered constructive, and how it could really, be helpful in helping someone who is really struggling with this being their first time teaching to an audience of adult learners. And that is the end of my presentation. I don't know, Calissa, are the questions in the chat, or will people be able to come off of mic and ask questions?
There's questions in the chat. I can read them out for you.
Okay, please.
The first one, how can this project be leveraged for ongoing research studies that may have participants who may benefit from technology access?
And that was the goal of having such a wide range of participants in the very first cohort. I think that we probably will have an additional cohort, because we had some healthcare organizations, we have community pharmacies, we had people who were constantly patient facing, who had to constantly help participants with online forms or in-person forms, or a portal, like the Mayo portal or any other healthcare portal. So this type of training actually helped them be able to use the tools that they learned to be able to actually teach them in real time how to use these things. And not that it was their first time using a portal or online health information seeking. This was their first time actually having to explain how to do it to another audience. And a lot of times you are battling against having to have correctly translated information. And, if the information is not translated correctly, then you have to, figure out what the correct translation is and then give that information to a particular, patient. So this type of training, I would implore everyone, to send people who are patient facing, especially who are patient facing with diverse populations, to specific trainings like this, especially if we hold another one. Please participate. It'll be a blast out if there is another, cohort. But this type of training is the type of training that helps, patient facing, healthcare workers to actually deliver and help participants or patients with their online forms. Like I said, their actual sheets and their Mayo portal or their different portals that they have to use.
Is this model adaptable outside of the U.S., especially in low resource countries?
It is. It is. It's not dependent on, high technology access. Of course, depending where you are, you have to really tailor it to the type of access that is present in your community or in your area. But this is highly adaptable outside of the U.S.
How do people get recruited into the data registry?
We leaned heavily on existing partnerships that the lab actually had in the community and the COE actually had in the community. So it was not a challenge to get the participants because they were eager to be able to deliver this type of, curriculum to the participants or the people in their community or in their individual organizations.
Great. What did your participants identify as the biggest barrier to clinical trial participation?
Actually, not knowing. Not really understanding what a clinical, that's why I really wanted to go into, what a clinical trial was, the different types of clinical trials, and really stress that, the work that we do out of our lab is more behavioral. So we want to know what it is that you do. But understanding really what a clinical trial entails, they aren't necessarily, on main campus, or they aren't necessarily so far away from where you live. And there are different ways to participate in a clinical trial. So just arming them with the type of information that they need to understand what a clinical trial is, and do I really see myself participating in a clinical trial?
Great. There was another question. Are you able to share your slides for
Yes.
this project? Okay.
Mhm.
Great.
I sure am.
Are there any additional questions?
Nothing else?
Doesn't look like it. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for joining our presentation today. Our iCCaRE webinars are every second Friday of the month at 12 p.m. So stay tuned for next month, and happy Friday. Hope you all enjoy your weekend. Thank you.